There was the quote, "My intention is to play for the New York Jets." That's what Rodgers said yesterday. He intends to sign with them. But, Adam, there's a lot more that needs to be worked out, right?
Yeah, listen, the two sides have to agree on compensation, Laura. And until they do that, there's no trade. And right now, the two sides, at least at recent check, are not close. Because the Green Bay Packers believe that they should be getting significant compensation for a player that is considered one of the great players in their franchise history, maybe the best of all time. The Jets say this is a 39-year-old quarterback who's on a year-to-year basis. And, of course, he's due $110 million in guaranteed money the next 2 years. I've had people say to me, the Packers have all the leverage here. And I've had people say to me, the Jets have all the leverage here. So you believe what you want. It's just how you interpret it. But the fact of the matter is each side seems rather dug in to its respective stance. And it could change in a moment. But right now, a trade does not appear close. We'll see how long this drags out, which side gives in first. Aaron Rodgers wants to play for the Jets, intends to play for the Jets, but right now he's still the property of the Green Bay Packers as they work through their divorce.
Yeah, it is kind of funny considering how Aaron Rodgers has played this, that now he's sort of at the team's mercy, right? You know, he's the guy that has forced some of this to happen.
And let me say, I don't think they're particularly pleased with the way that he handled it. And I don't think he's pleased with them with the way they've handled it. And he is the one who made the plea on the Pat McAfee show to do the right thing. And let's everybody move forward here and let's get this taken care of. We'll see who blinks first.
Yeah, do the right thing for me, right? Mina, let's say this trade does go down. Where do the Jets need to shift their focus in this offseason?
Yeah, on the football side of things, if this actually happens for the Jets, jobs 1, 2, and 3, in my view, start with the offensive line. I like their group of skill players with the addition of Lazard and Garrett Wilson. But there are question marks across the line and something they need to address for a couple of reasons. I still think Aaron Rodgers can play at a high level. I also think at his age, and we saw some of this in Green Bay, pass protection matters more than ever. He's coming from a Green Bay offense, by the way, where the offensive line was a strength. Meanwhile, in New York, there's questions about whether they're going to move on from Connor McGovern at center and at offensive tackle on both sides. I don't know who's going to be starting for them. They have Dwayne Brown, who's a bit older, coming back at left tackle. Mekhi Becton has been injured. Right tackle, they had some free agents. They don't have a ton of money, especially, you know, with the big Quinn Williams contract looming. But I have to think if they do whatever it takes to go out and get Aaron Rodgers, they're going to approach his inclusion almost the way Tampa did when they brought in Tom Brady. You do what it takes to compete now. Maybe that means structuring contracts with void years. You push all your chips in. But the New York Jets know that if they trade for Aaron Rodgers, they have to compete in the present tense. And again, that starts with the offensive line.
Tampa was a little more veteran-like. These guys are somewhat young. So, yes, that wish list that's floated out there by everybody saying, hey, this is his demands, whether they were true demands or just a wish list, you certainly go and you add a Randall Cobb because it's not going to cost you much money for him to be like a role model teacher, sort of football player, to get Elijah Moore to understand what it's like to play in the slot at a big-time level. You already signed Lazard. If there's a Mercedes Lewis in the future and you want to bring him in, if there's a Bakhtiari that you all of a sudden want to try to bring in, you do that because that's what coaches and players do with veteran guys. They like to be surrounded around people that they're familiar with. Think about Tom Brady, as you mentioned, in Tampa. What did he do? He went out and got Gronkowski out of retirement because the comfort zone is there. So they should approach that if, in fact, and when they get Aaron Rodgers in the fold, they continue to try to pluck his guys if they can.
Well, I just want to get one thing straightened out, Keyshawn. You were not on Aaron Rodgers' wish list, which I was surprised to hear when I heard there are a lot of players that he'd like to bring to New York. You, unfortunately, were not one of them. But here's the thing. Whether or not you're on that wish list or not, and it's not really a wish list, but it's players that he acknowledged himself, that he discussed with the organization, and it's a lengthy list. As you mentioned, Alan Lazard's already in New York. Randall Cobb would surely follow once the trade goes through. Mercedes Lewis, Fletcher Cox was on the list. Odell Beckham Jr., again, was floated out there. And beyond that, there will be a lot of players who don't get the type of contracts they want, who are sitting out there on the free agent market before the draft, before training camp. that will say, you know what, if I've got to do a one-year deal, a short one-year deal, I'd like to be with Aaron Rodgers. I'd like to hitch my wagon to him and be in New York and be a part of this, just like we saw with Tom Brady in Tampa. So that's going to happen. But one of those players, unfortunately, is not going to be Key.
Well, Key, I mean,
Hey,
you got one play left in you, or a few big plays in a championship moment, Key? No?
No, but Adam.
Yeah.
Adam?
Yes.
Lose my number. Lose my number.
Yep,
Very good,
okay,
Key.
well, there you go. That was pretty good, Key.
Not the first guy to tell me that.
Maybe not the last. To the other side of all this is the Green Bay side, where quarterback Jordan Love has made one start in his NFL career, which came against the Chiefs back in 2021 when Aaron Rodgers was out due to COVID-19. In recent years, it has been unprecedented for a quarterback to be drafted in the first round and wait this long to play. Love is the first quarterback to be drafted in the first round and make one or fewer starts over the first 3 years of his career since Aaron Rodgers, who didn't start a game during his first 3 years as he sat behind Brett Favre. So what are the plans for the Packers now, Adam, after Rodgers? Certainly feels like they're ready to just go all in with Love.
Well, that is the plan. And again, Aaron Rodgers was the one that pointed out from the moment they drafted him, they've wanted to go to him in his mind. Well, now is the chance. And you've been hearing really since the start of the offseason that Jordan Love was the player that they wanted to have play quarterback. We've heard the Packers, when they've spoken publicly, rave about Jordan Love's abilities. And they have to make a decision on him this spring about whether or not to pick up that fifth-year option, which I think at this point in time is a formality with everything going on with Aaron Rodgers. I think they're going to pick it up and they're going to give him a chance. And let's keep in mind, this has really been a historic run in Green Bay. You've got two legendary Hall of Fame quarterbacks for about 3 straight decades, leading this team to 2 Super Bowl titles. And we're going to go from Favre to Rodgers, and now it's going to be Jordan Love's turn. And Rob Domofsky was on Get Up this morning, and he said that the Packers have told him that they're looking for a quarterback who is not so high maintenance. So they're going to get a chance now to go look at a quarterback that's lower maintenance in their minds than Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, here's the thing. We don't know much about Jordan Love, and that's
he's low maintenance right now.
We do, right, exactly, which at this point might be one of the main pieces. Key, how confident are you in Jordan Love in this offense once Rodgers does move on?
I'm extremely confident. I think when you are pushed into a starting role and you have the ability, look, early on in his career, we all questioned why would they draft him, but they obviously saw something. They saw enough to feel, hey, we need a quarterback because when Aaron Rodgers decides to move on, we need a guy that can step in. Over time, he's learned how to play the position at a professional level. In the small sample size and the amount of games that he's been in, I looked at it and I said to myself, he's fine. He'll be fine. With time, he'll be fine. And even some of the players that I know on Green Bay's offensive side of the ball, they said the same thing. They're like, we good, man. We'll be okay because they're not asking him to be Aaron Rodgers. They're not asking him to throw for 50 touchdowns. They would take that. They're not asking him to throw for 5,000 yards. They would take that, though, and some W's as well.
2 quarterbacks each have something to prove to the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love has got to prove that he's worth the faith that this team has shown him, and Aaron Rodgers is going to prove that they're wrong for drafting Jordan Love and sending him to the New York Jets whenever they get that trade worked out.
It's an odd symbiotic relationship that may end up working out really well for 2 different teams. To Mina's point about the tight ends and the help that Jordan Love may need, the Packers haven't drafted a wide receiver or a tight end in the first round of the NFL draft since 2002. And that's when they selected Javon Walker. That's tied for the longest active drought in the NFL.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.